The 13th Doctor's last season of Doctor Who is fast approaching. There seem to be a lot of polarizing opinions on her seasons. Some people really love her and some outright hate her. As with everything, I like to take a step back, look at the good and the bad and everything. So, despite me being dressed as a punk 13 for Halloween this year, don't expect a full fangirl gush over these seasons. I love all of Doctor Who, and as with all seasons of the show, there is both the great and the not so great. If anything, I'm hoping with this video to take some of the polarization out of these seasons and look at them with a fresh perspective. Check out our Patreon, where we will be posting spoiler-filled reviews after each episode of Doctor Who Flux, along with more extra goodies. We will be using our patent pending, stoplight format. Let's get going. Season 11, Episode 1, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Green. Now, as for all post-regeneration stories, the story really begins in the episode prior, so maybe take a quick watch of the last 10 minutes or so of Twice Upon a Time. She has a nice introduction, and I also love how 12's big speech at the end lends itself a lot to 13's personality. As far as after regeneration episodes go, this is one of my favorites. It does a great job introducing the new companions, the new aspects to 13's personality, along with some fun hijinks and real peril at the end. And the ending isn't quite what you'd expect. Episode 2, The Ghost Monument. Green. This one follows directly after the ending of Woman Who Fell to Earth, but also has its own separate story. I like the idea of the Doctor and company stranded on a desolate planet for their first off-world adventure. The gang is still reeling from the events of the previous episode, and it allows a lot of bonding and character moments. This is like the company picnic for everyone to get to know each other. The dangerous company picnic. The additional characters are okay. Not super memorable, but they do progress the plot. Good episode and shouldn't be skipped. Episode 3, Rosa Green. Now, the Doctor has had companions of color before, and while the racism Bill encountered left 12 literally punching a racist in the face, a personal favorite moment of mine, and Martha had to deal with her real-world Doctor abilities being undermined in Season 3, there hasn't been a ton of new Who companions directly faced with racism as the basis for an entire episode. And then we get Ryan and Yaz dropped in 1960s Birmingham, Alabama. There's no avoiding what this episode is about, and with a title like Rosa, it's going to be hard to not spoil which historical figure is present here. It's a well-crafted story with some gut-wrenching moments, and God, this scene. Ryan is so sincere, and Graham just wants what's best for his grandson, and it really just puts a lot into perspective. Just because this is tackling such a serious subject matter doesn't mean there aren't funny moments as well. I particularly love this whole scene with the Doc planning with everyone in the hotel. She gets some nice moments here, and there's some funny moments with the tension still underlying all of it. Now, the solution to everything at the end is a bit messily executed, and the themes are sometimes a bit too much on the nose, but I think that's okay here. Episode 4, Arachnids in the UK. Yellow. So, obviously this episode has spiders. I won't be putting anything on the screen, so don't worry. If you don't like them, skip this episode for sure, but I'm not going to be showing any spiders on screen. Ew. Otherwise, this is an alright episode. Pretty Monster of the Week stuff, but I put this as a yellow because of the one guy, Jack Robertson. He's a little bit of a recurring character, and his assholery is particularly developed here. Oh, and there's a scene where someone assumes Yaz and the Doctor were dating, and a million ships sailed that night. Episode 5, the Suranga Conundrum? Green. God, I hate this episode's name. It says nothing about the episode. It's hard to say, And I've seen this episode 3 times and still can't remember what Surenga is. Was it the ship? I think it was the ship. Anyways, this one introduces the Pating, which is my absolute favorite original alien idea in the 13's run so far. Look at it. I won't tell you what it does because that's a bit of the twist, but it puts the Doc into an interesting situation involving a famous space general, her android, a nervous nurse, and a pregnant man. This one's just a really good fun romp, and the Pating is just great. I hope they bring this guy back. I mean, they do one time later, but it's for like 3 seconds. Give us more Pating, dang it. Episode 6, Demons of the Punjab. Green. Oh goodness, this one's a doozy. As far as dramatic set pieces go, Demons takes the cake. Another historic journey for the Doctor and her crew, this time involving a visit to Yaz's grandmother so she can learn about her mysterious past. A bit of Season 1's Father's Day vibes in this one a little bit. Like Rosa, this one does a lot to explain the history of the partition of India, something I honestly knew practically nothing about prior to this episode. Again, very old concept too, leaning in a bit on the educational aspect here. But don't let that fool you. There's a deep plot to this episode involving star-crossed lovers and mysterious aliens. This is one of 13's best episodes, and while it's not the most fun or funny of her lot, it tells a beautiful dramatic story, and it's not one you're likely to forget. Episode 7, Curblam. Yellow. So I loved Curblam when I first saw it. It's high concept, it's got one of those gimmicky robot type things that add to the story, very on-the-nose commentary on places like Amazon. A little twist at the end. It's got the makings of a Moffat-esque standalone episode at first look. Then I saw it again, and the ending just kinda doesn't sit well with me. There's not much I can say about it without spoiling a ton. It's definitely not a bad episode, and the first 3/4 of it are a great romp that's very enjoyable. I just feel the ending, other than the little twist, is a bit of a letdown and sends a weird mixed message. Either way, there aren't any big plot threads started in this episode, so skip it if you like. Episode 8, The Witchfinders. Yellow. I didn't particularly care for the Witchfinders. Though placing our first female doctor in the middle of a witch hunt is an absolute genius idea for an episode, it just didn't stick the landing for me. Now, I know there's a lot of people that put this on their top 13th Doctor episodes, and for that I'm giving it a yellow. Maybe they saw something in this one that I didn't, and maybe you will too. Either way, it's not necessary to the season's overall plot, so yellow it is. Episode 9, It Takes You Away. Green. It Takes You Away is a very cold episode. It deals with loneliness and the things that keep us apart from the ones we love. It also deals with priorities. This is an excellent episode for Graham to take center stage and grow a bit after the events of the first episode. I don't particularly enjoy It Takes You Away. It's not so much fun Who as it is an important stepping stone for several characters. It has a lot of great themes and dramatic moments, with a bit of weird silliness thrown in at the end to make it a little bit more even. Either way, it's an important episode to the season, and one you probably shouldn't skip. Episode 10, The Battle of Ranksklor Avkolos. Red. Wait a minute, but this is a season finale. I can't put a season finale at red. Well, freaking watch me, dang it. The Battle of Ranksklor Avkolos is the worst Doctor Who finale I've ever seen. It crawls. It has the worst pacing ever. And it brings up a plot thread that isn't so much a plot thread as it is extending a story that's already felt resolved at the end of the last episode. I just simply don't like this episode. It's probably the only season finale in New Who where you can completely skip it and not miss any important details to carry on. That's how unimportant and lame it is. Episode 11, Resolution, Green. But wait, what's this? This isn't a Christmas episode. It's a New Year's episode. Yes, 13 started the pattern of having the annual New Year's episode instead of a Christmas one. And you know, I rather like it. It's a different backdrop and set of festivities for Doctor and Company. Shakes things up a little bit. Resolution is an important episode because of the aliens that it has, not spoiling anything, and Ryan. The aliens sport some creepy abilities that really push the story forward, and Ryan is forced to spend time with his father and try to come to terms with him wanting to be back in his life. It's not the best episode, but you know, it's a fun one, and it moves several plot elements forward that are important for future episodes. And with that, we finish season 11. Anyways, off to the much improved season 12. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this one starts out with a big one. Season 12, Episode 1, Spyfall Part 1, Green Light. Holy macaroni! This two-parter really turns things up to 11. It's an edge-of-your-seat spy thriller with all of the trappings of Bond films, along with a mysterious, sinister plot and danger at every turn. It goes from set piece to set piece to set piece, and it just does not stop going. Spyfall 1 and 2 aren't just my favorite 13th Doctor episodes, they're my top 15 Doctor Who episodes of all time. Oh, and there's Stephen Fry here too. Oh, and there's this guy named O. I love this guy. He's just got this sweet, dorky, carefree air about him, and you can't help but like him. Also, Daniel Barton is a mysterious figure that you aren't sure you can trust. And you get to see everyone in suits. How spiffy. Oh, and some stuff happens at the end that I literally cannot talk about. I can't. I have that anti-spoiler clause in my contract. Episode 2, Spyfall Part 2, Green Light. This is the second part to Spyfall Part 1. That's about all I can say. Seriously, after the end of Part 1, everything's a spoiler. There's some hella great acting out of that one character. You'll know the one once you see it. That character is my new favorite. And oh, the historical figures. Those are cool too. This one's more of a hiding and chasing sort of episode, which is super fun. Plus, the companions have to fend for themselves without the Doctor, which is something I love to see. Oh, and 13 gets mad. Like, really legitimately mad. It's a side of her we haven't seen before this, and I just love it. So much happens in this two-parter, like so much, that it almost feels like more happens here than in 13's entire first season. It's like having a season finale at the beginning of the season. Like having dessert first. And that's pretty cool. Episode 3, Orphan 55, Red. The thing that sucks about eating dessert first? Afterwards you've got to contend with the soggy peas. This one sucks, and I think most of the fandom is in agreement on that. Just skip it. Episode 4, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, Green. Honestly, not so much in the way of story arc development happens in this one, but I'll still put it as a green just because I really like it. It's a charming monster of the week with some good Tesla-Edison rivalry and some aliens. Also, Yaz looks freaking adorable in this outfit. It's a fun historical romp, just watch the dang thing. Episode 5, Fugitive of the Judoon, Green. What the dang heck? This episode, what a ride. Absolutely cannot be skipped. Really love Jo Martin as this lady whose husband is being pursued by the Judoon and she has no idea why. Twists abound, very important episode, and just an absolute blast. Episode 6, Praxeus, Yellow. Okay, so this is weird. First time I saw this episode, I didn't really like it. Then I saw it again, and I liked it quite a bit. Then I saw it a third time, and it was okay. What I'm trying to say is you might like this episode. Give it a shot, especially if you like Doctor Who episodes based around one central mystery. But if you're in a rush or anything, it's very skippable. Also, some creepy body horror abounds. If you don't like that kind of stuff, you may want to skip this one. Episode 7, Can You Hear Me? Green. I was tempted to give this one a yellow because it isn't completely necessary to the overall plot. But after many fans complained, and rightfully so, that 13's fam weren't given enough character building, this one's an important leap forward, especially for Yaz. For an episode that touches on each character's fears, its villains are more ew creepy than outright scary, but I think that works here. Almost feels a bit like a Buffy-like plot, if I'm being honest. Psst, check out my Buffy Season 1 guide at the card. Also, I keep going back and forth whether or not that moment at the end is in character for 13. It's definitely a moment. Let's discuss later in the comments over some chips. Episode 8, The Haunting of Via Diodati. Green. A lot of people call this 13's best episode. While I like it quite a lot, I'm more of a spyfall or fugitive girl. But you know what? This one really knows how to pile on the mood. From the set dressings, to the costumes, to the music, to the lighting. It gives you this feeling of isolation and Frankenstein-era darkness. Despite being a great standalone episode, this is essentially the first part of the season finale, so it's a necessary watch as well. Episode 9, Ascension of the Cybermen. Green. Part 2 of the season finale, so of course it's gotta be a green. There's not much to say without spoiling anything. One of the best cuts to intro ever. You'll know it when you see it. There's some new characters that are mostly here for the finale, and they're okay. I do like their gumption in the face of danger. Good old-fashioned gumption. Interesting side story where you're not going to understand the purpose of it until the next episode. I was pretty happy with the ending here, and how it leads into the last part of the finale. Episode 10, The Timeless Children. Green. Season finale, so of course it's a green. Side note, God, it was hard to get picks for this one without spoiling anything from either this episode or previous episodes. I hope you like dramatic shots of Jodie Whittaker's face. I like that the group kind of divides for this one, and the fam has some great action moments. Some bonding between Yaz and Graham, which you don't really see a lot. And 2 of my favorite characters are back, baby! We get royally ticked off 13 here, like she gets really mad at one part. There's some big reveals that a lot of people didn't like. As for me personally, I could take them or leave them. It seems like the beginning of something rather than a finale. I'm curious to see where they go with the storyline, and I'm holding off my judgment until I see where it goes. Honestly, if there's anything I hate about this episode, it's that they put together a really awesome enemy concept, and then just kind of threw them away. I hope I see them come back sometime. Oh, and the ending reminds me a lot of the 10th Doctor's finales, leading right into the New Year's special. Episode 11, Revolution of the Daleks. Green. Another New Year's special. This is a fun adventure. Picks up exactly after the last one. And another different one of my favorite characters is back. Some cool alien cameos over here too. Another one where I can't see too much without spoiling things from earlier in the season. Some great Yaz moments, and it builds on her companionship with the Doctor. This is a fun one, and I like it a lot. Lots of great lighting too, and a great callback at the end to 13's very first episode. Well, now you're all caught up with Doctor Who. Well, at least with the 13th Doctor's first 2 seasons. I've still got her last season, which hasn't aired yet, and 12 other Doctors to cover. So hit that sub button if you want to see more. Thank you for watching.